Hello everybody, welcome to my video. My name is Vish, I am from the UK and it's a pleasure to be with you here. Just a bit of a background to my particular story. So I have been ill with fibromyalgia for the last 13 years, starting in around about 2011, though without question there were symptoms that were on display even before that particular date. So it started after significant trauma within the first 34 years of my life. And that chronic exposure to high levels of stress from a very early age meant that I was effectively burnt out. My cortisol levels must have been completely shot. I was on a fight or flight footing most of the time, thinking something was going to go on within the family home. And as a result of that chronic stress, that naturally meant the first few years of my life, in particular from obviously childhood experiences, were pretty damaged actually. So, and without question, we all know that stress can lead to physiological illness. There is no doubt about that connection from the very early days of research. Then from that point onwards, I also had a poor lifestyle. So I was smoking from a fairly early age, from 17 till around about the age of 29, 30. Drinking, which I still drink now, don't get me wrong, but I don't certainly drink to excess. And really, I have never really drank to excess, but drinking cannot have been a positive, drinking alcohol, of course, can't have been a positive contributor to good health. I also had poor sleep hygiene. I was also a very hard-working individual, so high amounts of stress at work, a high perfectionist kind of attitude, and that coupled with self-imposed pressures meant that my cortisol levels again were undoubtedly going to be burnt out because there's an outpouring of that the whole time. My diet was really poor, so I used to eat lots of high carbohydrate foods, etc., which contributed no doubt to things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And unbeknown to me, at the time, I don't know when this came on, but this insidious bacteria called H.pylori, which affects 50% of the world's population as it stands currently, according to the World Health Organization. Well, I had that, and that over the last few years has come to light, and it is the source of my fibromyalgia. There is no doubt about that at all, because of the systemic damage that it does to the gut, to the stomach in particular, and the resulting gastritis that I've been diagnosed with by endoscopy. That particular condition caused by H. pylori, if left, can lead to things like stomach ulcers, and indeed it has been highly correlated to stomach cancer. So it had to be got rid of, and it caused huge amounts of vitamin and mineral deficiencies, which undoubtedly have led to ME, CFS, fibromyalgia. Mine particularly is more fibro because of the fact that I've got a large amount of chronic pain. My symptoms, as you all know, will be very similar to yours, no doubt. So I had debilitating fatigue, I had brain fog, I had visual changes where words would wobble across a page, significant speech issues to the point where doctors thought I was having a stroke on multiple occasions, and as a result of that, I was admitted to hospital. I had arrhythmias of the heart. I, as I said to you before, had chronic and systemic pain throughout my whole body, from the tip of my head right to the bottom of my feet. So it really was a pretty debilitating prospect. GI symptoms, again, now I know, were caused by H. pylori, acid reflux, gas, bloating, and a lot of people with fibromyalgia actually have very similar digestive profiles in terms of symptomology that we should be looking into because it is a source of many of, I believe, our problems. I was reacting to a lot of foods. I had peripheral neuropathy going on, where pins and needles in the tip of my tongue, in my, everywhere actually. The pins and needles were everywhere. Twitching accompanied that all around the body, and indeed there was a crushing amount of anxiety that was associated with having a failing health, or failing health in general. So it was a pretty bleak set of affairs. When you categorize it, I was moderate in my overall categorization. So I had moderate ME/CFS, or now we know it as fibromyalgia. And my outlook on life obviously was pretty dark at the time, because when you've had everything taken off you, it can really affect your feeling of worth, your feeling of health has been taken away. So you feel depressed, you feel anxious, and all of that associated mental health issues. So I didn't have any mental health issues per se. So I've never been diagnosed with anything like that, but it is a byproduct of your failing health. So it's something that we need to acknowledge. So in terms of the 3 things that have helped me the most in my recovery, so without any question that if you've got all these vitamin or mineral deficiencies as a result of, in my case, H. pylori or SIBO, then supplements were the number, not in order of importance, but number 1 was supplements. They were incredible because, of course, with so many deficiencies, vitamin D, DAO enzymes, diamine oxidase enzymes. So obviously when you've got damage to your intestine, you don't produce enough DAO. And as a result of that lack of DAO production, then you end up with histamine levels building up inside the body. And as a result of that, you end up with this histaminergic kind of symptoms that you get, the swollen eyes, the headaches, the fatigue, the X, Y, and Z. Vitamin D, vitamin K2, calcium, NADH, which is a version of B3. Thiamine, which is B1, is incredible actually for ME/CFS in terms of regenerating energy. B12, which we no doubt have come across, it is a common deficiency with people who've got H. pylori to have a B12 deficiency. And PQQ is incredible as well. Pyrroloquinone, quinone is incredible for generating more energy through your mitochondria. Number 2 was, of course, treat SIBO and treat H. pylori. So I did that by taking probiotics along with antibiotics. I've been on multiple courses of that. The recent one recently finished, a few days ago actually, and I'm feeling tons better as a result of that. I was taking a particular kind of probiotic called L-reuteri, DSM-17648, which is incredible for removing, like a magnet, the H. pylori out of the stomach and destroying it and throwing it out of your digestive system. So it's incredible. As I said, it's like a magnet in there. Berberine, DGL licorice or DG licorice, that's incredible for anti-pathogenic effects, antimicrobial effects in the gut, and taking zinc carnosine to help heal the gut, which is really, really important after any kind of infection in that kind of gastric area. Number 3, increasing blood volume. Fibromyalgia, ME/CFS, all have something very much in common, and that the research suggests that we have low blood volume. If we've often got low blood volume, that will lead to POTS and indeed low blood pressure. So the idea is to drink more fluids to replenish blood volume, and indeed ensure that you're taking electrolytes to ensure that you increase blood volume as well. So I've been taking something called Normalite, which is incredible. I have to have it imported over from the US to the UK because they don't do it in the UK very helpfully. And it's really linked to the hypothesis as proposed by Nancy Kilmus, for example, Dr. Nancy Kilmus, where it is thought that us with this particular set of syndromes, this condition, have 1 litre less blood volume than our healthy compatriots. Compatriots, if that's a word. That is a word, but I don't know whether it was the right word for today. But anyway, you get the idea. Our counterparts, our healthy counterparts, that's the word I was looking for. So because of all of these changes that I've made, supplements, treating the H. pylori, and indeed ensuring I increase my blood volume, I am now able to exercise for around about 3 to 5 hours a week, which includes intensive exercise such as badminton, yoga, hot yoga in particular. And I'm able to work 60 hours a week in my job that I absolutely adore as an educational consultant, working in the science field around the UK. And that is it. So it is working. I'm doing really, really well, despite the challenges that have been thrown at my doorstep. So what would I say in terms of advice or words of encouragement? Well, number one here, I would say, is you have to treat every little win as something to celebrate. And every single dip that we have in our health also as an education. We then have to be really reflective on this and think, okay, well, what did I do to trigger that? What was it? Did I eat something wrong? Did I drink something wrong? Did I not get enough sleep? Etc., etc. You really have to be granular and forensic with your analysis of what is going on in your body. When we find what works, do it more. That's what I would really strongly advise. So whatever works, do it more, but make sure you don't do it to an excess, which is making you worse. So for example, one example that I would say is I found that NADH in the early days of my condition was phenomenal. It was incredible. It was amazing. So I took more and more and more of it and actually started to give me really bad side effects. So it's about balance. So whatever you do, eventually you will come to that sweet spot. And so when you've come to that sweet spot, you know what to do to maintain that in terms of a dosage and in the frequency of taking that dose. You've got to therefore approach this condition with a scientific mind. It is the most complex puzzle that you are ever going to encounter. So your job will be to figure this puzzle out. The reason for doing it that way is because there's no more important an investment of your time than doing this. There's nothing more important. Your number one priority is to get yourself out of this quagmire of difficulty and this really, really challenging situation that you're in. And you owe it to yourself to do that. So approach it with a scientific mind because you're going to need to have that. And third and final on that is get online and go and find forums that provide love and support for you in this. You are not alone in your recovery. There are many people like myself that have trodden and are treading this path to recovery, and we've got things to share with you. And indeed, you've got other people out there, experts out there in the field that have also trodden this path. And fundamentally, we all stand on the shoulders of giants in this. We've all trodden this path, we all have an experience, and we're all willing to share it with you. So get yourself online. I've got a particular group called Elite Wellness Warriors, which of course you're all welcome to. There are multiple others out there that you'll find as well. Whatever it is, get on there, reach out for that support, and don't be afraid to take that step to do that. We're all in this boat together, and we're all here to help one another recover. It's our duty as human beings to do that, right? So that's why I really urge you to get out there and find those kind of forums to do that with. Okay. And the last thing is, remember, you can do this. You can. So if I can do it, you can do it. And there are hundreds of stories out there, hundreds of testimonials out there that will say exactly the same as me, that you can do it, recovery is possible, and that anybody who tells you that it is not possible is talking nonsense. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I hope that video was helpful. Lots of love to you all, and take care. Bye-bye.